Hey everybody, Pete Werner here at Citricos in the Grand Floridian for this week's episode of the Disney Dining Show. I am joined at the table, literally, Eric Gross from Moving to the Magic, Ms. Jackie Gailey, the beautiful Madeline Werner. Okay, hold on, we're doing something. Steve Porter, and on the camera, Mr. Corey Fiasconaro. So come along for our little review after my mother gets done yelling at me on camera that my coffee's here. Mom does not drink. If you could see me winking. By drink, I mean she doesn't drink bleach or battery acid.
He's being sassy with you.
I'm getting back at you.
Okay, so looking at the menu, I was going to order the filet, but there was already a couple people that were ordering the filet, so I wanted to get something different. But nothing really on the entree menu caught my attention. So instead, I decided to get two appetizers as my main course, and I picked the octopus and the pork belly. But the waitress explained that the octopus is better as an appetizer, even because that's what it says on the menu it should be. So I said, okay, I'll get that as the appetizer. And I'll tell you right now, I have tried the octopus at Tiffin's and I enjoyed it. I've tried the octopus at Haleo. I enjoyed it. This is very strange. So the menu says charred octopus, so I was expecting it to be a hot dish. It's not. It's cold octopus, which I know many of you think of me as Mac and Cheese Steve and that I'm not an adventurous eater, but there are some weird things that are more adventurous that I do like, one of them being octopus. But this is very strange. It tastes a lot like canned tuna, which is fine. Canned tuna is fine, but the taste of canned tuna in a very condensed form, like these octopus tentacles, is jarring and very strange. So I'm going to try to continue to eat it and hope that it gets better. But it's definitely not my favorite.
All right, so I got the pâté di campagna, the country pâté, watercress, onion confit, mustard seeds, focaccia. This is $15. This is, she said it was a pork, chicken and duck liver pâté, which unusual. So if you've had pâté before, tends to be dense, rich, spreadable, depending on the kind you get, almost like a liverwurst in that consistency. This is not. This is more of a cake texture, I would say.
Yeah, it seems more gritty than like a regular pâté.
Right,
I'm not a pâté expert by any means, but I did like the taste of it though, because it wasn't as rich as a regular pâté, which I prefer.
Right, no, it was very, very good. And perfect for me right now, just in terms of what I can eat. So I've been being made fun of for using the word keto, but
C'est la vie.
c'est la vie. 0 carbs in the pâté. So generally, it was good. Am I going to run back here to have this again? No. Last time I was here, I had the pork belly. It was out of this world. That would still be my recommendation on the appetizer menu, would be the pork belly.
Do you like pâté on the
I do.
regular?
I absolutely
and
do.
And this one was just okay?
This was okay.
So
I prefer a really good goose liver or a duck liver pâté. I like that richness.
So maybe they tried to appeal to like a broader range, and it kind of fell short.
Well, I think
I thought it was okay too, and I don't really like pâté, so maybe they just flatlined on that one.
That's kind of what it is. And I think when you try and appeal to too broad a market, you end up not appealing to anybody.
Because neither of us really cared. I mean,
exactly.
It was fine.
It was
okay.
fine, yeah. I mean, I'm not like, that was the worst thing I've ever eaten, but like I said, I'm not going to be rushing back here to eat it either. Yeah. So let's pass it on down to Miss Gailey.
Wait, I have to talk about the octopus real quick. I know people are going to give Steve a lot of flack for the canned tuna comment, but I swear, if you close your eyes, take a bite of the octopus, it tastes like chicken of the sea albacore. Like you're just eating canned tuna. I mean, the texture's a little bit different, but it tasted like expensive tuna to me. So that's all I have to say about that. I didn't order an appetizer. I just ate a little bit of everyone else's.
My appetizer was really cool. It's spring pea soup, and had I known that they were going to do this, we would have filmed it because it was really neat. So they brought it out in this really cool bowl, and it has a quail egg in it. So they bring it out, and your bowl has ricotta cheese, a quail egg, some croutons, and some little split peas. And then they bring this little pitcher and they pour it over the top. So it just kind of blends all in, and it is delicious. So split pea soup is one of my very favorite kinds of soup, and it's something that we always had a big pot of growing up. And this reminds me of it, and so it brings back a little bit of home, which is really fun for me. So really, really good. Highly recommend it. Spring pea soup. And it was, let's see, it was $16 for the appetizer. So really good stuff.
Okay, so I opted to not get an appetizer. There was nothing really on the appetizer menu that spoke to me, and I figured since we already had so many people that were getting appetizers, that'd be fine. I wasn't even super hungry anyways. But for my entree, I got the filet. That's the oak grilled beef filet, and fillets are something that I like to get at this price point kind of restaurant, like here, Yachtsman, all those sort of places. Filet is always my go-to. And this is has a potato puree, asparagus, chipotle jam, and bordelaise. I know I'm pronouncing all those things wrong, but it's okay. You get the idea. This was probably among, I'd say, around my top 3 fillets on property. It was really, really good. Now, I'm about to pronounce something else wrong, but my favorite filet is at Le Cellier. I know I'm not saying that right, but it's the restaurant in the Canada Pavilion in Epcot. That's my favorite one on property. This isn't there to that level, but it's pretty close. This came in at $51. They also had the option to substitute it for a ribeye, which you'll hear about very shortly, and Pete's thoughts on that. But I thought this filet was great. The asparagus was great. I opted to get it done medium well, which I'm being told was the wrong choice, but regardless, it was delicious. And back before I would ever come on camera and talk about my food, I used to get my steak well done. So at least I'm showing a steady progression here with my steaks. But with that said, the filet was great. And one more thing, I know this probably isn't right to mention in a dining review, but I feel like it needs to be said. I went into the bathroom, and it was among the nicest smelling bathrooms I've ever been in. So I wanted to mention that as well. And we'll move on to Steve.
Okay, so like I mentioned before, when going over the appetizers, I was trying to get 2 appetizers as my main course. The server suggested that I get the octopus as my appetizer, and I just went along with that, said sure. So for my main course, I had the pork belly. It has Israeli couscous. I'm not going to pronounce this right, but chermoula sauce. I don't know. And pork jus, like a jus sauce, for $17. Fantastic. This is like the tale of 2 dishes for me. Was not a big fan of the octopus, but this pork belly is outstanding. It melts in your mouth. The texture it's so good. It has the crispy out like layer on the outside, and then the inside just it melts in your mouth. The sauce on top adds a little bit of sweetness to it, but not like overly sweet. It's not like candied or anything. And the Israeli couscous I actually was not expecting to like. But it did a good job of kind of soaking up all the different flavors of the pork belly and all the different sauces, so it was really delicious. So yeah, that's what I think.
Okay, so I took the option of, as they mentioned before, there was the option of the oak grilled beef fillet or substituting that for a 20-ounce ribeye. The fillet was $51. The ribeye was $72. And this came with a red wine reduction sauce. It came with the most caramelized onions I have ever witnessed in my life. They are black. And a bed of mashed potatoes with asparagus. when they first brought it out to me, I had forgotten to mention that I really wanted the sauce on the side. And they brought it, and like, oh, I forgot to tell them sauce on the side. And our awesome server, Stephanie, over here, just overheard me, and she's like, would you like me to bring that back to you without the sauce? And I'm like, that would be awesome. So she did. And I'm glad, because the sauce itself is very good. It's not that it's a bad sauce by any means. This is a superb ribeye. You know, when I saw the price at $72, I'm like, this better be a good ribeye. Well, guess what? It's a $72 ribeye. The quality of it is unmatched. It is among the best, and I don't say this lightly, it is among the best ribeyes I've ever had. It was tender. It was so incredibly flavorful. It needed no seasoning of any kind whatsoever. So I actually told them to tell the chef that it was a crime to put any sauce, no matter how good that sauce is, on a steak like this. Serve it on the side, give people the option, but you are covering up a superb steak for no reason. Perfectly cooked. The asparagus, again, perfectly cooked, crisp, clearly steamed or fried, maybe fried. Maybe they did it in a pan, but it was not overcooked. It was a nice crispness to it. I did take a little taste of the mashed potatoes, and they were unbelievable, but that could be carb deprivation. But Eric tried them, and he said they were amazing, but they were half potato, half butter, which I don't find anything wrong with that. So overall, there's a high bar to reach for a steak to be worth $72. They reached it, and maybe even cleared it with this steak. Absolutely phenomenal.
Alrighty, so what I chose this evening was the oak grilled tuna, and it came with lemon roasted potatoes, a seasonal bean ragu, and then grilled baby romaine. And I ordered my tuna raw, as it should be, and this dish should not have worked. It was the weirdest mix of ingredients. I had grilled romaine, raw tuna, potatoes, and then a mustard beurre blanc sauce with Kalamata olives inside this dish. Like, it sounds just insane, but this was one of my favorite meals I've ever had on one of the dining reviews. It was just so refreshing, and it was executed really, really well, and I was just really excited about that. The mustard beurre blanc sauce was so rich, I just wanted to eat that by itself. You could taste the whole grain mustard, you could taste a ton of butter and cream, and it was almost like this dish was inspired by a steak. Like, this should have been with a steak meal, and then they substitute it with tuna because it was so hearty and earthy, and the tuna just fit right in because it wasn't fishy at all. It was a really, really good quality tuna. So, I mean, it fit perfectly with this. And then the saltiness of the olives, I was really worried about that. I was like, why are there olives in this dish? And it complemented it perfectly. So it was really rich, heavy, and then the freshness of the tuna and the saltiness of the olives just combined, and it was very well balanced, and I really, really enjoyed it.
This is the most excited I've seen you about a dish since we started doing these reviews.
Yeah, because they've been kind of... but this is a great dish. I would recommend this to anyone who is kind of scared to try tuna and doesn't know if it's something they should do, because it's not fishy at all. It tastes like beef. It tastes like steak. So I was really excited to have it.
I got the short ribs tonight, and short ribs are something that I've been trying lately a little bit. And these ones they're red wine braised beef short ribs. And originally it was served with Swiss chard and a mushroom, some kind of exotic mushroom thing, which I'm not a fan of mushrooms, guys. Can't help it, but I'm just really not. So I had they were really gracious and switched it with asparagus and potato puree, which were both seasoned really well and delicious. And the braised short ribs were just soft as butter. So you didn't even need a knife to cut them. You just peeled it right off. They were so delicious. And the red wine sauce was just perfect. It wasn't overly spicy, or there wasn't too much wine. Like, I could barely taste it. I'm not much of a wine fan, but I usually like red wine sauce if it's done right, and this one was done right. It was really a great dish. $49. So, I mean, I think that's a fair price for a restaurant like this, and really enjoyed it. So good.
I had the short ribs like Jack, only I took it with the Swiss chard and whatever else was with it. But I enjoyed it very much. The meat just fell apart. And my husband used to make it a lot. And I haven't had it really since he died. And so this reminded me of what he made. So I enjoyed it very much.
And that's, I gotta say, that's high praise, because my father was an amazing cook. Okay, nobody would, and so that's very high praise for my mother to say. This reminded me of a dish my husband would cook. That's very high praise, and I got to be honest. I've never put Citricos in my top 5, just because I said it's always very good. It's very consistent, but it's also very boring. It doesn't excite me. I gotta say, this meal might change that feeling for me. This meal might change that feeling. I think this deserves a little more love. But dessert's up next, so I'm gonna get to sit here and watch these people eat carbs. So let's see how that goes.
All right, so here they have 7 different options that you can get for dessert. They have the chef's cheese selection, the profiteroles. Yes, the cheese selection was $13. The profiteroles were $10. The assorted profiteroles. The mango and raspberry sorbet, that was $8. The pistachio cheesecake, that was $10. The warm chocolate banana torte, that was $12. The tropical fruit creme brulee was $11, and the tiramisu was $12. So we got everything. Everything I just listed, we got it. And honestly, the dessert was slam dunk. It was so good. Every time I tried something, I would try the sorbet. And I was like, oh, the sorbet is my favorite. And then I would try, what were those ones? The profiteroles. And I was like, no, these are my favorite. And then I tried the warm chocolate banana torte, and I was like, okay, this is my favorite. Like, everything was so good. And then, yeah, I finally settled on the warm chocolate banana torte. That was the winner for me. But the profiteroles, got it, nailed it, getting better, was a close second. That was really good, too. I think Steve has some stuff to say about that, so I'll go to him next.
Okay, by far, I tried a sampling of everything. My favorite was the profiteroles. They were so good. It kind of reminded me of it was almost like a little bit reminded me of like a s'more, but with ice cream and but like the chocolate and the vanilla and the everything about it kind of just, I don't know, for whatever reason, it reminded me of like a really fancy s'more. And there's a little like chocolate on the side that reminded me of a Crunch bar. So I had no problems with that. I thought it was so delicious. And everything else I thought was good. The one that I didn't like that I think everyone else kind of did was the warm chocolate banana torte, which to me the chocolate tastes like chalky. So that wasn't my favorite. I would have been a little disappointed if that was the only dessert that I ordered from here because everything else was so good.
I had absolutely nothing, and I'm very proud of myself. I'm a man on a mission. I've got a goal, so let's talk to Eric.
Yeah, cut to me, who like literally ate everything here.
25 and you still have 27. You still have a metabolism.
There was a few things that didn't do it for me, but I was expecting to not like them. So I guess consistency is key. I don't know. But I'm not a big fan of cheesecake. I thought the cheesecake I like the blood orange with the pistachio idea, but if you like cheesecake, you might like that. But if you wanted a crust with it, you might be a little disappointed because it's kind of a deconstructed cheesecake. So it has the chocolate pistachio layer, then the cheesecake plopped right on top, and then a little bit of pistachios on top. The flavor.
There's also what's the name of it? A ganache. There's a ganache over the cheesecake.
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, it was fine. What are those? The profiteroles?
Profiteroles. I guess
I didn't like them because they tasted like a cream puff, and I'm not a big cream puff fan. But the tiramisu, we need to zoom in on this tiramisu. This was literally so good. You could taste like the coffee, the mascarpone, the rum, and it was a delight. I really, really liked it. And I'm not a big sorbet fan, but this sorbet dessert was so fresh and not overwhelmingly sweet, which I appreciated. It was really good. I did not try the cheese plate because I ate a bunch of sweet things, but the tiramisu is a winner if you like tiramisu.
So I'm sitting here with this sorbet in front of me because these fresh berries are delicious. And the sorbets are so fresh. The lemon one was so delicious. And the raspberry one too. And just this was not a little amount of berries on the top. I mean, there's really a lot. So good. That tiramisu was awesome. So the espresso soaked ladyfingers are just really coffee flavored so nicely, not bitter at all, and I really love that. I'm with Eric on that one. I loved it. The chocolate banana torte, so I like the chocolate part of it, but it was really odd to me because there were slices of banana inside of it, and it was kind of similar to one of those molten cakes, and a little bit because it was served warm, and I felt like it was weird to have a slice of banana in there. So that was a little odd.
Yeah, it felt kind of like
me.
Leftovers.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a leftover dessert with two different things combined.
It was a little strange. I didn't mind the garnish on the top had 2 slices of caramelized bananas. That was cool, but it just felt weird to me that it was baked inside the cake part. I just didn't think that wasn't my favorite. Now, the cheesecake, I have a few things to say about this cheesecake. Cheesecake is probably my very favorite thing under the sun, but I am a New York heart, okay? So I like real New York cheesecake. This cheesecake was loaded with pistachios, which we knew going in, and it's covered with a white chocolate ganache, and then it had pistachios chopped on the top, and it was served with these blood orange, like a sauce on the side. And I knew going in that it was an odd combination, but it didn't have a lot of cheesecake flavor to me. So I tasted everything separately, and then I tasted it together. And you can tell that it's a cheesecake, but it's not a true cheesecake. So even if you're a cheesecake fan, really read what that one is all about before you order it, because it's not like a true cheesecake. So let's see the other thing. Oh, the ones that now I can't remember how to. Profiteroles. So
yeah, it does.
So I'm gonna call them super fancy cream puffs.
That's
Usually.
what we call Eric.
Okay. See, there you go. Hey, I like that.
Super fancy cream puff.
There you go.
Thanks.
See, look at that.
Great, wonderful.
That's perfect. I like that. Cream puffs are usually like the most amazing thing ever, but those ones didn't really do a whole lot for me. I don't know why, but I didn't love those. So there's that. And then the creme brulee is like the biggest bowl of creme brulee you've ever seen in your life, like ever. So I had a taste of that, and it was amazing. And it was also served with a ton of fresh berries. So strawberries, blackberries, and blueberries, so delicious. So, and they didn't load them up with anything. They were just fresh berries right on the creme brulee with fresh pile of whipped cream. So good. So I'm going to have to say my favorite is probably, it's between the tiramisu and the sorbet. I really loved both of them about equally as well. I know.
tiramisu.
You had creme brulee.
Oh, I'm sorry. Creme brulee.
Yes.
Delicious. I always have that when I come here because I do like it a lot. They put a lot of fruit on it, which I couldn't finish, but it was very good. Very good. That's the only dessert I tried.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's also a really big portion.
It is. But I enjoyed it very
Usually the creme brulees are so small.
It's
That was
true.
a nice size one.
It's true. Yeah, they do give you a big one.
Yeah.
Okay, so just got finished eating at Citricos. This was actually my first time. I'm not going to talk about like the room too much yet, but this is going to go up at the same time as what we're doing here for the room review. So I'll touch on it a little bit. The Grand Floridian as a whole is never something that's like really like called to me or drawn to me. I'm much more drawn to like Wilderness Lodge, Animal Kingdom, stuff like that. But I will have to say, you're not going to see me in the room review, so I'll kind of give some impressions right now. That these rooms that we saw in the DVC portion are probably the nicest rooms I've seen. With that being said, also first time dining here at Citricos, everything was outstanding that I ate. I opted to not get an appetizer, and again, that's mainly due because there wasn't an appetizer on the menu that really appealed to me. I mean, I could have gone for the shrimp, but there was nothing that like really like screamed, "Oh, this is a dish that I would be into." But as far as my filet goes, like I said, one of my top 3 favorite fillets, and I always order fillets. So that does say a lot as far as I'm concerned. And all the desserts were outstanding. Like I said, there's a few standouts, but everything I tried, I liked. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna have to give this place an 8.5, ranking really high for me. I can't say really anything too negative about it besides the fact that none of the appetizers really applied to my taste, and that's really it. So we'll move on to Steve now and see what he thinks.
I think of anyone here, I may have picked the worst things because half of my meal really was the octopus that was not very good. Maybe that octopus was a little bit of my preference, but I think I was backed up by Eric saying that he didn't really like it either, so I feel a little bit vindicated. The pork belly, though, was delicious. I think the restaurant here is beautiful. You have a great view of being up a little bit higher looking at the Grand Floridian. I like that, and we were right near the window, so that's always great. Overall, between the server and the food, I mean, it knocks it down a little bit, again, because of the octopus, but I'm going to give it a 8.
Yeah, I got to tell you, this was an exceptional meal. While the pate wasn't phenomenal, it wasn't the best pate I've ever had, it was certainly good. That ribeye was beyond good. And I'm really surprised I'm saying that because, like I said, $72, that's a high bar, but it was so perfectly done and so perfectly seasoned. And I'm looking at it from the standpoint that I just fed 6 adults with my Tables in Wonderland discount, $490, and there were a couple of cocktails served at the table. I think for signature dining at Disney, that is downright reasonable. And I'm going to go out and the service, our server Stephanie, was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to give it a 9. And I'm really on the verge of a 9.5. If that pate had been better, this would have been a 9.5. This was an almost flawless meal. And presentation, service, quality of the food. Really, I'm surprised how much I'm enjoying this. But I think this just worked its way into my top 5. So,
I think that this restaurant shines in their entrees. Everyone's entree was amazing. It was very well done. It was just executed really nicely, and the flavor combinations it was really, really great. I have no complaints about the entrees. I have a few complaints about desserts and appetizers. And if you're like kind of Oh, there it is. Is there chocolate on my back? I don't even know where to start right now. It doesn't even matter. Appetizers were okay. Desserts were pretty good. Entrees.
Scale of 1
Oh,
to 10.
scale of 1 to 10. 9. 9.
So my appetizer was awesome. So I think that I chose the right one because appetizers, I was going between the pork belly appetizer and the snow pea soup that I had. That snow pea soup was fantastic. The whole meal was fantastic. The braised short ribs were just so delicious and just fell apart completely with a fork. So dessert was really, really good. And I lived my childhood dream, and we got one of each dessert on the whole menu. It was very fun. Dessert's really fun. It's my favorite. So, obviously. But, yeah, the desserts were really, really good. My favorite was between the tiramisu and the sorbet, depending on, whether you're looking for something fresh or something more rich and chocolatey. So, top notch. I have never had dinner at this restaurant before, and I will definitely be coming back here because it was really, really fantastic. So, fabulous night.
Well, I've eaten here a few times with Peter, and I enjoyed it tremendously. And tonight, the short ribs, was wonderful. And the dessert, I always have the same dessert, and each time it seems better than the last time. So I would give it a 10. I enjoyed it so
I forgot to give my rating.
Well, too late now.
I
your
forgot
rating?
to
I wanna
give
know
my
your
rating.
rating.
And I give it a 9. I definitely give it a 9. I even want to give it a 9.5. I'm going to give it a 9.5.
I do too, but there was
Yeah.
a few things I thought
Yeah.
were missing. Like the pate was
you?
not good.
Yeah,
the
the
octopus.
pate was not up to the
Oh, the octopus,
the
yeah.
octopus
Pate
was
wasn't
not good.
pate wasn't bad, but it wasn't the best pate I've ever had. The octopus, obviously, we had issues.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I can't go to that 0.5. Service certainly bolstered the score, and consistency. The restaurant is consistently good, and seeing how impressed you were with your dish, and you're really discerning. You're really very, very discerning.
I've given a lot of 7s and 8s,
Well,
just
but
kind of
you also have a very sophisticated palate. I think more sophisticated than mine, and you have a way of dissecting food that I don't. I'm like, ooh, food good, so that also plays into it for me because I know how you are.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think this goes on my list.
Yeah.
This goes on my list. So, all right, folks, thank you for watching. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Disney Dining Show, and we will see you again next week. Have a good one.